Welcome to the Floyd Memorial Library podcast, where we sit down with the people who give shape, texture, and voice to life on the North Fork of Long Island. Some are rooted here by generations, others arrived by chance or choice, but all carry with them a piece of the story. We talk about what's changing, what's worth holding on to, and the currents of history, both quiet and loud, that run through this place. I'm your host, Christopher Bianchi, and for episode 238, we sit down with Carole Monsell for a conversation deeply rooted in the history and spirit of Greenport. We talk about her family's ancestry and the generations of connections her family has to the village, along with what it was like growing up in Greenport and watching the area evolve into what it is today. Carole shares memories from her school years, the changes she's witnessed throughout the North Fork over the decades, and how her lifelong love of local history eventually led her to become president of Stirling Historical Society. We also discuss the important work the organization is doing today, from preserving Greenport's history to creating new programs, events, and opportunities that connect the community to its past. So I hope you enjoy episode 238 with Carole Monsell. Thank you so much for coming on to the Floyd Memorial Library podcast today. I'm really looking forward to talking to you today.
Me too.
Thank you. So just to start off in the beginning, can you give us a little introduction about yourself, where you were born and raised?
Yes, my name is Carole Monsell. I was born and raised in Greenport, New York. I have, my whole family was here. Paternal grandparents and maternal grandparents, and now live in the same house that my father grew up in, and my grandparents, and my family built it in 1905. So I'm very grateful to be here.
And so, how far back can you go with your ancestry?
The Mayflower.
The Mayflower.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, Samuel Fuller. So he was like my ninth great-grandfather, and did all the history, and I'm with Daughters of the American Revolution, and so with DAR, and so very, very grateful and very proud of that.
And could you give us a little bit of how they came to Greenport area?
Sure. Reverend John Youngs, who's also a great sixth great-grandfather of mine, came over when they left England, and they actually went to, I believe, New Haven, Connecticut, and then came to Southold. So I have a lot of ancestors there. They started Southold, and they, the Youngs and the Hortons, and they all had land, a lot of land there. So yeah, I did my whole family history, so it goes back. Most of the streets are named after my ancestors in Southold. And that's when John Youngs bought some property in Greenport, way back in the late 1600s, early 1700s.
And did you get to, in terms of your grandparents, did you get to talk with them about what it was like for them growing up out here? Would that be on your father's side?
My paternal grandparents were in the house that I live in now. So I kind of like grew up there. It was 3 houses away from where I grew up on First Street, right around by the library, Greenport Floyd Memorial Library, which I used to hang out in too. So this was my area. But my paternal parents grew up in the house that I'm in now. So nothing really has changed. As in when I moved in, I moved into my grandparents' stuff. I probably have more of a museum than Stirling Historical Society. More papers, more, everything that I'm still actually going through. But the history of my family was very, very important to my father, who was a Greenport historian, and to my Uncle Tom, who, by the way, built this room.
Yeah, this room's named after...
Yeah, my grandparents.
Yes.
And my Uncle Tom, who had left me the house, So very important that they loved the village of Greenport, and they were both the village historians for probably almost 20 years, my father and his brother Tom. So it was very important to them. My father was also the superintendent of utilities for Greenport for 40-something years, as his father, Harry Monsell, my grandfather, was for many, many years. So the Monsell name is very big in Greenport. We have Monsell Streets, Monsell Lanes, Monsell Trails, Monsell Park that Stirling Historical Society is in. So it's a big name out here.
And could you talk about your uncle Tom Monsell in terms of his involvement with America's Cup?
That was George Monsell.
George Monsell, sorry.
Yes, that's okay. If you want to go back a little bit,
Sure.
his father, James Monroe Monsell, brought oysters to Greenport. He was actually from Virginia. And the reason that I'm saying that is it's very important for the history of George Monsell, who won the 3 America's Cup races, which was his son. But James Monroe in 1844 brought oysters to Greenport, and so everybody that is eating oysters today should thank him. But he went to the state assembly and had laws passed that would let people farm oysters, actually. And he owned the end of 5th and 6th Street Beach, and that's where I have really old photos of him and his crew. And like I said, he got laws passed to do the farming of oysters. So that was very, very important. So he had coastal schooners that my granduncle George, who was Harry's brother, he grew up on the schooners. And so he learned how to sail at a very young age. I'm talking 8, 9 years old. He went to work for Vanderbilt. He was a very good sailor, very famous sailor he became. And he won 3 America's Cup races, 1930, 1934, and 1937. And he was a Greenport boy. So that was very, very important to Greenport. He brought a lot of money in. He hired local guys from Greenport as sailors, and as he had boats built in Greenport at the shipyard. So that was a lot of money coming in. He got all his provisions and had his sails made in Greenport. So a lot of money. It was very important for him to keep the money into Greenport locally. So he was a good man, and he had bought some land up in Cutchogue down Nassau Point, quite a lot of land. He went in 1937 when World War II was pending. He was building a house. They had the last race, America's Cup race that they won in 1937 was with the Ranger, and we won that race. He went over to Bristol, Connecticut, because they were scuttling the boat, the Ranger, which was the J boats, and they were absolutely beautiful boats. And they were taking all the metal and copper and things off the boats and using the wood, which was very unfortunate. But anyway, he went over there in a boat and took the staterooms off the boat, brought them back to Cutchogue. He was on the water in Cutchogue, and he was building a house, and he put those rooms in a boat, in the the boat rooms in the staterooms in the house that he was building, which I own today, which I'm very grateful for. So I guess going back to how I grew up, I thought it was normal, but it certainly was not normal, I don't think. Because when I tell the story, people think that I'm crazy. Like, I own this part of the Ranger, which was an America's Cup race in 1937. And they're looking at me like, just kind of like lost it. But that was normal to me. So,
yes.
Not too many people, I don't think, can say those things, and still be humble about it, of, their roots and stuff like that. So it is very important to me.
No, that's fascinating history. And also, I guess, did you want to cover anything else more about your grandparents? Was there anything on your maternal?
My maternal, well, when I grew up on 509 First Street, which is an absolutely beautiful house right down the road. It's a big brick house, 17 rooms, and we also lived next door to Whitney Hubbard. So I kind of grew up with that too, with him painting next door. And we used to go and see him, which was like another wonderful experience, right, of growing up as a kid. And now that I look back on it, it was pretty amazing. And actually, my friend Stanley owns the house now, so I can go still see all the paintings. He probably has at least 150 wow. Whitney Hubbard paintings in the house. So it's incredible. So anyway, so my grandparents, my paternal grandparents lived 3 houses away. That's the house that my ancestors built in 1904 that I live in now. And so my maternal grandparents, my grandfather was Norwegian, from Norway, last name Hansen. And so they were right across the street. And then my great aunt was right in back of us. So if I didn't get something from one of them, I took my tricycle and went someplace else. So that was my growing up, and it was absolutely fabulous. And I don't think a lot of people get to do that anymore. They're not, people travel and they live different places. But that's how I grew up, and it was really, you depended on family at that time. I don't kind of ever remember having a babysitter, although Karen Masfaro says that she was my babysitter. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And then, so could you tell me a little bit? You said that your dad was a
superintendent of utilities.
And what about your mom?
She was just in retail.
Okay.
She'd kill me if she heard me just in retail. But, she was a wonderful mother. She brought up 3 children, and she did a lot. She painted. She did this. She fixed up houses. She worked at Cookery Dock and a few different places, but always very busy.
And did they all go to school through the Greenport?
They did. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I was just curious if they had any stories about their time in school, or did they enjoy?
Yeah, they loved Greenport. After they knew each other from 3rd grade. This is the whole story of my parents.
How they met?
Yeah, how they met in 3rd grade. And so they went to the Presbyterian Church, which is now the Greek Church down here on Maine. And when they were teenagers, they used to have dances in the cellar and all this. And my dad, which it's still there, he hand-carved into the pole in the middle.
Oh, okay.
Jackie and Jimmy, 19, whatever year that was, and it's still there. So I have to go take a picture of it. And so that's really special that they were together forever,
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
And now to get to you growing up, you mentioned going to your different relatives' house, but how was it overall for you as a child growing up in Greenport?
It was great. I had a lot of friends. It was different at the time because I could just run across the street and go to my grandparents' house. I had a lot of cousins, and so everyone congregated there. We also had holidays, and all you had to do was walk across the street with a covered dish. It was pretty simple. It wasn't traveling for hours or, my daughter lives in England now, so it's a little difficult, to get there on holidays. But it was very comforting. That's basically all I can say. There was a lot of people, at the big table. I also had every Thanksgiving I went to my Aunt Edna's house, which was grand Uncle George, the sailor of the America's Cup races, his sister. And so she had 3 rooms of tables, and she invited everybody. And I can remember at least 40 people at these tables, all in the room, with my Uncle George's pictures all along the walls. And it was an old house. And eventually they tore the house down, unfortunately. It was right in back of the synagogue on 4th Street. So unfortunately, they tore that down.
Yeah. What about just, would you be playing outside and explore the neighborhoods, or?
Yeah, all the time.
Not the railroad and, well, not the train tracks, but.
No, because I was here, and that, I mean, we walked to school and it was, my mother always used to say, take the front way, go down Front Street and, stuff like that. Don't go to the back way, just school. And, so we walked to school. I had a lot of friends, played after school, many, many friends. I mean, we had bonfires at the beach when you could. I also, in, 8th and 9th grade, Orient came into Greenport school, and I believe in 6th or 7th grade, Catholic school came into Greenport school. So then it was, more friends, and went to Orient. And I just remember my dad dropping me off at my friend's house and having sleepovers and stuff like that. But when I was, very little, it was basically just, playing with cousins, friends around the neighborhood, playing kickball, always outside, and that was life.
Were there any businesses that you might go to even in high school, or that you would, I know you meant, I think we talked that the Coronet and other businesses that you enjoyed going in?
Sure. My grandparents, my maternal grandparents, always took me to arcade because they would give me a nickel, and you could get a lot with a nickel at that time, way back when, because now I'm old. And so that was like a real treat, but that was when I was little, 5 years old, 6, 7, 8. So arcade was like a big deal. It was, you could get anything in arcade. It was a big store. When I was 15, I started working actually at the Coronet. And it was like some ungodly hour, like 5 o'clock in the morning, so so I started there very young because my sister was working there. She was 4 years older than me.
Okay.
And so she got me this job. And then I just never stopped working after that. So.
And so for school, how was that experience going through for Greenport School for you?
Good. There was a diversity at that time of families, and there were blacks and some Spanish, but there wasn't a big Spanish population, but there was a lot of blacks, a lot of the same people. The kids that I grew up with are still very good friends of mine today. A lot of maybe they came up from the Carolinas or Virginia originally. A lot of them settled on 2nd and 3rd Street. Some of those families are still there. So we were very accepting. Everybody was very accepting to each other at that time. There wasn't any controversy or hatred or anything like that against any other.
And I also like to ask some people sometimes, did you have any favorite teachers or role models at that time during your school or classes that you enjoyed at that time?
I always enjoyed art. I had a few really good teachers, Miss Matassa and Mrs. Stipe, and enjoyed art. I also enjoyed history, Mr. McAvoy. He brought life into the classroom, which I totally enjoyed. And I think they influenced me because when I went to college, then I became a teacher. So, somebody influenced me anyway.
Did you know exactly what you wanted to do coming out of high school?
Yeah, I wanted to leave. It's like, I'm out of
You're
here.
like, I need to see something different.
Yeah, I wanted to explore, and my dad was very good. He's like, you need to get an education. They can never take an education away from you. You need to do that. You need to,
Mm-hmm.
And I knew what I wanted to do. Not really what I wanted to do, but I wanted to get out of Greenport.
Mm-hmm.
I felt that it was going to be very stagnant for me being here. That I needed to get a real job and I needed to go to college.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I went to a small college outside of Boston for a couple of years, got my associates, and then after that went to New Paltz, got my bachelor's art education, and after that I went to CW Post and got my master's in special ed.
And then did you end up teaching on Long Island?
Yes, I was teaching part-time. After my bachelor's, I traveled for a while. I went down to Florida, lived in the Keys for a while, came back, traveled. I was upstate for a while, then came back here. And then at that time, I met my to-be husband, and that's when I got my master's degree and got married, and then had my 2 older children in a period of time. At that time, started buying real estate. That was in the 1980s. And in 1985, Greenport was in a slump, and it was going downhill pretty bad. I started researching houses, and I found a house on 2nd Street, and just found out it was kind of dilapidated, and nobody lived there. So I went to Southall Town and found out who the owner was, and I bought the house for $50,000 because it was cheaper than rent at the time.
Wow. So
that's how that started. And over the years, I think I bought 5 houses very cheaply.
Wow.
So, a couple that I sold, some I still have, and started a business that way.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was going to ask before we get to Stirling Historical, because you mentioned that time in Greenport, there was this going through a tough time, and just seeing it through the 90s into the 2000s, obviously with Mitchell Park. And what did you think of some of the changes going on coming into the 2000s? And obviously till today it's changed a lot.
Yeah, it has changed a lot. I moved out of Greenport. I don't remember what year. I believe it was 80, 90. So I bought the first house in 85, bought another house in 86 as a rental.
Mm-hmm.
So I was doing pretty good in the rental market. And then unfortunately found my kids were born, and found some drugs in the backyard. It was like not cool. So we moved into Cutchogue, into my granduncle's house in Cutchogue of the America's Cup.
Mm-hmm.
And so started bringing the kids up there. I was there for a couple of years. I think I rented from my parents for maybe 4 years, and then found another house, an old farmhouse, which was beautiful in Peconic. And I bought that for $115,000 and moved my kids there. And so it was a half an acre of land. It was beautiful, which I still own today. Anyway, Southall School was a very good school. I was teaching part-time there and part-time in Greenport, special ed, and I did, private tutoring and stuff like that. So they grew up in that school. They went to that school. And it was a very good school. My daughter graduated there and went on to Northeastern. Then she turned out to be a very good writer and was working for National Geographic.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then you eventually moved back to Greenport.
I moved back to Greenport. My uncle, which I didn't know, I was very close to my Uncle Tom, and he had Parkinson's, so he ended up in a wheelchair. And he, like I said, my grandparents and my my father grew up in the house, and it was a one-family house. When he got sick and he couldn't go upstairs to the bedroom or whatever, he made it a two-family. It's big enough to be a two-family. So he legally made it a two-family, rented out the upstairs, and stayed downstairs. Eventually, he had to get an aide to help him. And I was working with him on the history. I said, Tom, just give me all the history that you have, like a whole bookcase, right? And I go, please, just give me the history of the family. And he kept on saying, I'm going to give it to you, Carole. I'm going to give it to you. Well, he did, and he left me the whole house with the history in it, which I didn't know.
Yeah.
I don't assume things, and I did certainly not to assume that. So when I got the letter from the lawyer that he left me the house, I was very grateful and, surprised by that.
Yeah. And also getting into, now you're the president of the Stirling Historical Society of Greenport, but were you always interested in the history of Greenport and the area, or was that something that you got interested in later on, like when you were talking with your uncle?
Oh, no, I grew up with that, so it was ingrained in my brain.
Yeah.
And obviously, it was an everyday thing, but unfortunately, I didn't. If I could go back in time, I certainly would spend a day with my father and spend a day with my uncle and get all those stories, all those wonderful stories, So I do remember a lot, but it was always right in my face, I would go everywhere with my dad, to the light plant, which is now kind of defunct. I'm surprised I still have hearing because there were 3 big engines, and it was very loud in there. But he'd, take me in there. So I knew a lot about everything of the goings-on in Greenport. And I was very interested. And like I said, it's a unique place. And I didn't realize that until I left, And
then you had to come back and then...
Yeah, and then I realized it. So it was very special, and just the way I grew up, and the roots are very special. So my father, in the I believe in the 80s, was president of the Stirling Historical Society. My grandfather was president in the 1960s of the Stirling Historical Society, which means so much to me.
Well, what year did you join?
2020.
2020. And how has that been so far, getting involved with the organization and then having the opportunity to become president?
It was a lot of work. I totally enjoy it. It was a lot of work. It was a lot of organization. And when I first went in, didn't really know what I was getting into. But again, I so my dad, he was a very big civic, leader. Greenport meant a lot to him and my grandfather, who I knew, So then after the 3 years of doing a lot of work, they wanted me to become president, which was kind of like a shock, but I guess they voted me in, and I'm the kind of person that would say, okay, if that's what you want, but I'll do the best that I can. I'll give it my best shot, and I think that I have, and it's a lot of work, but it's very rewarding, and I'm grateful for it, but it is a lot of work. So,
yes,
but I think we're doing really well.
Yes, definitely. Well, I'm on the board as well, so I can comment on that. But could you talk a little bit about some of the projects that you've done so far as president, and then you can talk about future events as well.
Well, a couple of years ago, before I became president, we had a wonderful show for Gail Horton, who's an artist, and she does a lot of fiber art or hooked rugs. And Ann Heller and I did a a show at the Little Red Schoolhouse on Front Street in Greenport. And her sister, Peg Murphy, who was big in Stirling Historical and Southold Historical Society, she gave a lot of herself and created the education programs, which mean a lot to me. She had, I guess it was the last, big bang for both of them, and she had it catered, and it became a wonderful event. A lot of people came in to see the rugs. I don't remember. We might have had 30 rugs. Did you go to that? Did you see that?
I don't think I saw that one.
I think it was in 2021.
Okay.
Right after COVID, and everybody still had to wear masks and stuff. But we did good, and it's a big room, the schoolhouse, so people, could come in, and, so that went well. And we didn't do a lot. I guess when I joined in 2020, that was COVID, right? Mm-hmm. So, nothing was happening. The education program wasn't happening. So little by little, as I eased into it and saw the potential of what could be, it was pretty eye-opening, and it was just like, how come nobody's doing anything? Then we started, I don't even know what we did. We did the dinner for a couple of years at Townsend Manor, and that's doing well, and hopefully it'll be better this year. Trying to get the membership up. I have an old brochure from, I guess, the 60s or the 70s that my parents had. And on the back of it, there's 300 members. Wow. And that's a goal that I want. For new people, for locals. I don't think there's many locals left, But the new people that are coming in should have a sense of history about the place. And, we can supply that to them, hopefully. And so that's one of my, short-term goals, is to bring more memberships in.
Yeah.
The year of 2019... there might have been an education program that year, and then 2020 there wasn't. So then I took over the education, and we do that. Well, it was an ongoing thing. So I've done it for, 3 years. I guess this is the 4th year that I'm doing the education program. And we do the 3rd grade. We take to the Railroad Museum with John Fisher. And so he talks about that, and he has his guys there. They do the whole museum. Did you go to the museum?
Yes.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then another guy takes half the class to the caboose, and they talk about that. And then they switch over, so that the 3rd graders really love that, and they get to take some puzzles home and some different things that we have for them about railroads. So he gives a lot of information. He does a great little tour there for them. The 4th grade comes to us at the Arlen and the Burger House. The Arlen House, we have a little scavenger hunt. The docents talk about each little thing. And it's amazing to me because when I go into the Arlen House, it's kind of like home to me. Well, you've been in my house.
Yeah.
It's kind of like just home, It's Victorian, and it's old, and, I have a lot of antiques. I've always loved antiques because I grew up with my mom, who loves antiques, and my dad. And so I have a lot of theirs. But going into the Arlen House, it's very much at home. And like I said, my dad and my uncle were a part of that. So it's fun when you are dealing with the kids and they're like, what's that? And you tell them, and then they have to fill out a couple of pages of, downstairs. When the Neva came in, about the whaling, we teach about the whaling and the scrimshaw, and, we go into everything, and the rope bed upstairs. So then we switch them. And half the class is there at the Arlen House, and half the class goes over to the Burger House. And then I have 2 people over at the Burger House, and they do an old-fashioned craft inside after we talk about the Burger House, how it was moved over from South Street. And my great-aunt used to live there, too.
Wow.
And And then they do old-fashioned games outside in the back.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty cool. So that's the 4th grade. The 5th grade goes to the seaport and the blacksmith. So we, because there's so many kids that you have to split them up. So I take half of them, walk them over to Tom. Do you know Tom, the blacksmith?
Yes.
He's great. And so he, we're over there for, I guess, about 40 minutes. And he, does his spiel on that. And at the seaport, they do different things. We used to do knot tying or something like that. The last 2 years, they've had Cito out of Southall come in, and they would do a lot of lessons on life jackets, and then they do things of who can put the life jacket on quicker, and so his stuff like that.
Yes.
So I think they learn a lot. I don't know, hopefully. 6th grade goes to Greenhouse Cemetery with Robin Staples Walden. I don't know if you know her.
No.
Or you've been, well, she has the monuments.
Yes.
Down.
Yeah.
And she's great. She's knows the history of Greenport also. So have you been to Greenhouse Cemetery? Now I'm interviewing you.
I've just driven by it, but I've never gotten to really go in the cemetery.
Very cool. That's very cool. So that's the oldest cemetery in Greenport. Robin gets into a lot of different things, and we have a little scavenger hunt for them too. And so she'll say, can you find captains of whaling captains, right? And they say it on the stones. Can you find the oldest person in the cemetery? Can you find the youngest person in the cemetery? Can you find the most decorative? What does this? There's a lot of different gravestones that means something. There's maybe a picture of somebody looking up. Hopefully the soul can go up, and all these different things that. Either they're not in I don't know if it's the right word, modern cemeteries or cemeteries that you would see today. So it's quite the lesson. She gets into a lot of civic things, like what is Rotary. She gets into monuments that are in Greenport, World War I, World War II, which I think is wonderful. Like I don't think these kids. Sometimes they don't know where they live, or World War I and World War II, I mean, I don't even know if they talk about it in school. So anyway, I think it's really important. Then they do the rubbings of the gravestone, and they can take those home.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And then, so those are some of the educational programs. What other events do you have, or did you want to talk about some of the internship?
We had Faith Welsh that she was an intern. She was wonderful over the summer. She did a lot of work. Nothing in Stirling Historical has been computerized or online or whatever. So she did everything. We had an old book that somebody just wrote in the things that were in the Ireland house. And so she put everything on past perfect. And so she did a great job. And hopefully she, will come back. She got a friend of hers to be a docent too. So that was a very good thing. Just recently, we had a girl, we didn't have it, not Stirling, but the village of Greenport. And Andrea had called me. Melanowski. So anyway, a girl named Reagan, I think she's 13, and she goes to, I'm trying to think of, is it Peconic School?
Peconic Community School.
Correct. Yeah. And so she goes there, and she's in 8th grade, and so she was very interested in the businesses of Greenport. Of the original businesses of Greenport, and what's there, and comparing what's here today, which is very different, right? So I gave her some background, and I also gave her the background of my great-grandfather bringing oysters to Greenport. At that time, when he did that, it's all in timing, right? 1844, the first train came into Greenport. So he had the ability to take those oysters, put them in cans, put them on ice, send them to, back to Brooklyn. We're back to Brooklyn, then you can go all over the world, right? So that was all good timing. And that was one of the first, then you had oysters and you had bottle making. You didn't have plastics or anything like that. So there was a lot of stuff going on in Greenport. Greenport was a very busy little town. But anyway, so she came to me one day in a couple of hours. She got all that. And she was really interested in my great-grandfather going to the assembly and getting the laws passed. So that was a good thing. And she's actually, I'm going with Candace and Andrea on Tuesday to see her. She's going to present that. And so we're going to get a whole, either audio or written, and that's going to be ours, which is really interesting.
Okay.
Yeah, so that should be fun, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think the other things is, so I'll just go over some months that we do things. It was September. We had a recital with Roselle Borelli, and she sang some Spanish songs. She's a friend of mine that has a beautiful house on First Street, Victorian. We had a couple yard sales that we haven't had in, I don't know how many years, probably 12 years. And we made good money on that. So I think we're going to continue with that. Anything, as a fundraiser, we haven't done in, gosh, I would say probably 8 years. But not of the fault of anybody. It was just between COVID and somebody getting sick and this and that. We just, didn't get out there. So the most important thing is continuing. What I'm trying to implement in the Stirling Historical Society when I'm not president anymore is continue these things and say, January and February, this is membership month. We're really going to concentrate on that. March, we went to a wrestling event, and we didn't make a lot of money, but we were out there. We had a table, right? People are taking our cards. We made $50, but that's not the point. We're out there, And oh yeah, Jennifer Pressler did the website.
Yes.
And that's like really important. It's like, do you love it?
Yes, it's really nice.
I know, it's easy, right?
Yeah.
It's easy to navigate everything. And also I'm working with, I just talked to Kate Caden. She's with Mystic Seaport. So I'm back and forth with her. And it's a great thing. Some of the pictures of the America's Cup races that I found in the attic, by the way, of the Ireland house are from great photographers. So we're working together. I spent like 2 weeks taking these pictures out very carefully with old rusty nails in them, and going through them and then sending her stuff. So we're going to collaborate soon, and she's doing a whole big thing. And yesterday she's like, your granduncle George just keeps popping up. He just keeps popping up everywhere, because she's also working with Bobby Mills and Jamie Mills from Mills Company. And their grandfather actually started in Mystic, Connecticut. She has over there the original blueprints of all their stuff, sales and everything. So they're going over there to look at them. And so anyway, that's like a big thing. Speaking of Mills, I'm working with Bobby Mills. He wants a little bit more, and thank you for that. That was wonderful. He likes it. He loves it. And we just have to do a little bit more on Mitchell Park, and we need pictures of old Mitchell Park, which Jennifer just sent me some. I'll show you after.
Yeah.
But postcards on eBay.
Okay.
And stuff like that. So we're working on that. He wants about 10 signs going down the boardwalk, which I think it's going to take time. It's not like it's going to be done by Memorial Day,
Yeah.
But it'll take time, and but our name is going to be splashed all over the bottom with our website and all that. So that's an ongoing project. And so, so January, February, membership month. March was wrestling. April, May, and June is education. We have, we have to pick dates and then a rain date because they won't give us a bus. The kids have to walk. And then May 2nd is the fundraising dinner at Townsend Manor. Mid-April, we're going to have a grand opening. June, I believe June or July, whenever I can pull it off, is going to be a garden tour. And people just love to show their gardens, right? And I think it's going to be a lot easier than the Victorian Christmas, which was like a lot of work because we had to prepare and everything.
Yeah.
So now, and it was the first time. So now we kind of like know what we're doing and basically just sell tickets and make up a map and you can go where you want, right?
Yeah. And then about the Victorian Christmas, that was an event you did this past December that was really popular.
Did very well, yes. People absolutely loved it. We're getting membership cards back right now, and they're going, please send me when you're going to have the Victorian Christmas as soon as possible. I want those tickets. And put the price up. I'm like, really? Cool. That's how much they loved it. People don't say that, right? Put the price up. You'll get more. I mean, people loved it. We had 200 people. Kind of like, the first time is always the hardest, right? And plus you're going into people's houses. This is just a garden tour, like just hang out, So, but we plan on having that again. So that's June or July. We're having a garden tour. August, we were going to have, actually, John Costello said we could have his little boathouse for a gala. But I don't know. I'm working like 40 hours a week on this stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know if I could pull it off, because that's a lot of work too. That's like the Victorian Christmas. That's like huge. So I'm not sure if I can, but it was very nice of him to offer that because you don't have in Greenport. Years ago, when my dad and uncle were involved in Stirling, they had it at Soundview all the time, and it was a big dinner, and they just, gave us the place, and it was wonderful. But it's less and less, so we're hoping to keep Townsend Manor because that's the only place that we could have it. You know what I mean? So it's slim pickings, and so we're very grateful for them to have that, and we do well. Hopefully we'll do better this year. So that's in May, grand opening April, June garden tour, August maybe a gala, September probably another recital with Roselle Borelli. We did pretty good with that, and we have the church to do that in, and you have really good acoustics there, so that's good. Again, we can do a yard sale in October. Just these things that I'm trying to implement so whoever comes in next can just follow that to make sure that you have that money because of the insurance that is not going down. When I became president last year in January, the insurance was $2,300. Now it's, I think it's 83, 84. Yeah. So immediately I had to get to work to keep the doors open. That was like the only thing that I had going on.
Yes.
That I had to think about because if it continued, the doors wouldn't be open.
Yeah.
So November is just going to be trying, probably starting to close down because it's too cold. And then December, and to get ready for the Victorian Christmas, which is going to be huge this year, I think.
Yes.
And so that's the entire calendar.
calendar year.
My calendar year. And other than that, it's been, quite hectic and good. And I've met a lot of wonderful people.
Obviously, you have on the website for people to become a member,
Mm-hmm.
but also if people are interested in getting involved in the society, how do people?
I believe Jennifer put that on there too.
Okay.
And she put which is interesting and which I really needed because we are growing.
Mm-hmm.
Jennifer put on there a request form because we're getting a lot of requests. Unfortunately, the selling of the houses of $1.2 million and all of that. The houses are selling in Greenport. So the people, whatever they want them for, whether to live, they want the history of the house. So that's, I'm sure they come to you too.
Yes.
I can't answer the phone and go, and write everything down.
Yeah, we can't get the information there.
Right. So she made up a form and they can request that. And the people that just requested that, whether it be the history of the house or the Adams family grew up in Greenport. Can you tell me something about my grandfather? He owned a business in Greenport. Write it, type it up, send it to us, and then, it's going to go to you and Carlos and Jim. Jim knows a lot, and Gary, and then you guys bring it back to me, and we'll go over it, send it back to him, but that's the way that it's going to work, and I think it's much more professional. And things have to get to that point if we're going to continue. So hopefully, and I'm trying to do a little bit of the history of Stirling Historical Society. I think that should be in the beginning. Jennifer's working on the website, which I think is wonderful, and it's good, getting out there.
Yes. Well, I think we covered past events and future events.
Yeah, pretty much. And we need help. We need help with, I need a secretary. We need docents really bad. And we need people to do the archiving. There is the Burger House. We need 2 new roofs too. But the archives, nothing is computerized up in that room upstairs. You've been up there. Nothing. We wouldn't know what we have. So somebody just sent me that she'd like to work on the archives, and I'm please, please, you know. So, I think things have turned around with the society. Do you think it's a positive?
I think in terms of like fundraising and getting more people involved in I think we're out there more in terms of just having the name displayed more, and I think people can recognize it. And I think it's important to get people back involved and get new residents that come into the community to understand the history of the area and become a member too.
It's important. I mean, it's a little tough. Like I said, I'm very, very busy, and it feels good. And I think a lot is getting done. A lot is getting accomplished. Oh, and the brick fundraiser, I forgot all about that.
I forgot that.
Oh my God. So we got a mason. We're doing a brick fundraiser. Anybody can buy a brick. It's $125. And we should be putting that on the website very soon, any day, because we're going to have it big at the fundraiser on May 2nd.
Yes.
So we're still in the works. Jane Rode is working on that, just because it's like overwhelming sometimes. So she's kind of figuring all that out. Unfortunately, we need all new bricks. We can't use what we had there.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work out. They're thicker. Bricks aren't really made of bricks anymore. They're made of concrete.
And it's probably hard to engrave.
True.
into
They'd
those.
fall apart probably.
Yeah.
So that's going to be, it's going to be nice when it's done.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be really nice.
Yeah.
And I think that right there, it's going to look great because you're right in the middle of Greenport,
Mm-hmm.
And I think we're going to do really well. So that's an ongoing project.
Yes.
And we did find a good company.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's a lot in the works.
Nice. And I think I had just two other questions. Just from growing up here to living back out here, what do you like about living on the North Fork?
When I was not living here, I missed the salt water and the smell of the salt water. Obviously, I miss my family. My parents always lived here. I guess I just miss the town.
Mm-hmm.
When I was growing up, it was a small fishing village, So you had, like I say in my tours, it was the bunker boats, and Greenport smelled. I mean, it really smelled, but it also smelled of money. You had a lot of Southern guys that came up here off the boats and the rose boats, and you had the oysters. There were like 12. Actually, John Costello, who I'm meeting on Sunday with, he's doing stuff on his own, but he'll give to us of all the shipyards in Greenport and all the oyster factories in Greenport. And that's what I love.
Yes.
So that'll be great.
Definitely.
Yeah. So so it was a very different place. Greenport was always. I remember my going back on 4th Street to that place that I told you we had Thanksgiving, and there were like 40 people, and then the house went down. But that was years ago. It was a huge house, and there was probably 5 bedrooms. So my aunt, to make money, she was a widow, and she would rent out the rooms to teachers, of Greenport. And so there was always a lot of people coming into Greenport. There was, we survived on the people that would come, into Greenport for a vacation or whatever. Now there's a lot more. As I sit out at Stirling, I see that, for the last couple of years. It's like, whoa, I've never seen so many people.
Yeah.
But years ago, you had, I don't know how many churches, 10 churches, and then you had 15 bars. I mean, that was like, it's kind of like the same. And,
Yeah.
My parents helped me get through college, but I also put a lot of money into college, and I was always waitressing and cocktail waitressing and bartending and stuff like that. So it was, as I was in the restaurant business, which is a hard business to be in. And, I was working here. I was working on Shelter Island, back and forth. So, it was always busy in the 70s and 80s. A lot of people came out here and then just rented for the whole summer. But I think that it's very busy now. And I think COVID had a lot of effect of people coming out here with a lot of money and unfortunately buying up houses and sometimes renting them out as Airbnbs, which is terrible. I don't think it's right for that, for them to be absentee landlords. I don't know what the laws are now or whatever is going to happen. I think there should be some control over it as not, because I think it's dangerous and it's a liability.
Yes.
And it's not good for the neighborhood.
Definitely.
I think that changed Greenport a lot.
Yeah.
And
I think during COVID, it's kind of sped it up a bit.
yeah.
But then also just even like you touched on that a bit, but what are your hopes for the future of Greenport and its community down the line?
I hope that we get control over some things in Greenport and that there's good leadership. I think good leadership is the most important thing. Again, going back to my father and my grandfather, they were superintendent of utilities, which means they had the light plant, the water, and the sewer, and that was one man. And I can't even tell you how many people are doing that job now. I mean, you probably have at least 15 people doing that one job.
Yeah.
Which is, of course, if it's a lot bigger, it's, there's a lot more things.
But still, for one person, that's amazing.
Yeah. And he was a hard worker. I think that's where I get it from, just a lot of hard work and it pays off. But, it's, I don't feel like the community is really working together. And that's one thing that I want to do with Stirling is, I think there was just like this negativity or something that the museums weren't working together, and I have to work together because of the education, so I'd like to have I'm pretty much an open book, like, let's do this.
Yeah.
So now the other museums are coming to us. Hey, let's work together. All of a sudden, our name is out there, and everybody's like, "Wow," like. And so the seaport came to us. The railroad came to us. No, we want to do more. We want to do more. That's a great thing,
Yeah, we need to be coming together and working together.
Right. Or else it's not the incorporated village is not going to stay the incorporated village. Southalltown can take over or whatever. And that would be very unfortunate.
Yes. Definitely.
So I would like to see a couple of different things. I had heard that they want to close down the light plant. The engines aren't running anymore, which is very unfortunate. So we don't get the power we do get the power from there, but it comes from upstate. Right, and they were going to tear the building down, which they can't do because it's a historic.
It's a historic, place. Yeah.
So I guess that's my next job, is to do that. Go to the state or go someplace. But that's an old stomping ground of mine, and it means a lot to me. So I guess I'd have to get involved on that too. But
yeah,
I don't know. But
it's a lot. It's important.
It's very important. It's very, very important to keep. And the Preservation Committee is trying to go outside of where they are now.
Yeah, they want to expand their...
I think down 4th Street.
Yeah.
5th Street. Just, beautiful old houses. And I'm not opposed to that at all. They should. And people have to abide by that.
Yeah.
And even on Front Street to change those, I'm all for affordable housing too, but you have 1 mile of Greenport Village, you can't go up, somebody said that they want to go up on the stores of Greenport. You can't. They're historic. Well, some of them. I'm not saying all of them. To make apartments, but you can go outside the village and make apartments. Yeah. You really have to, because you don't have any other space. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a tough thing, and I know the town and the village or they're trying to figure out what to do with that, and then the whole thing about just Greenport as a working waterfront, it's kind of a hard, obviously with businesses changing and we've become more of a tourist, well, we've kind of always been a tourist destination, but even more so now. And I think, we still see the boats over there by the railroad, but it's obviously not the same, and we don't have all the oyster factories, and there's a lot of those are all condos now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when I was a kid, there were shells and piles of shells, there. So it is different. You don't have the fishermen here anymore. And there's not a lot of fish. When I was growing up, you could get fresh lobster, you could get scallops. You're not getting scallops anymore. It's not just because of the pollution. The waters are getting warmer, and they like colder water. So you're not getting that. So much has changed. which is unfortunate. And you have big money coming in.
Mm-hmm.
So that, it's upsetting. So anything that I can do and to keep Stirling historical is very important to me.
Mm-hmm.
It's very important. And I'm amazed when people come into the museum again, because that's how I grew up with antiques and old things. And, they're like, God, I can't believe people live that way. And I'm thinking, I'm still living that way. But anyway, it is fun. I enjoy it. And but we do need more help, and
Yes. And we have the Instagram and Facebook, and you can follow on there. And so I want to thank you so much for taking the time to come on the podcast today and sharing your story and telling us all the wonderful work you're doing in the community. It was really nice.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
And it was nice. The interview was nice.
Yes. Thank you. Well, I hope you enjoyed episode 238 with Carole Monsell. I want to thank you for listening to the Floyd Memorial Library podcast, and we'll see you next time.